Hi guys, this is Lashette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I am back with my most surprising reads of 2022. So, quick disclaimer, there's a helicopter. Don't know why. They're not after me, that's all I can say. Anyway, also my hair may look grayer than usual. That's not because I suddenly have a whole lot more grays. It's 50 degrees. I recently I washed it and I put product in it, and so since it's so warm, it's not absorbing and drying as quickly as it normally does. So you get to probably see my hair shrink as you watch this video. Stay tuned. Anyway, here we are, very lately, me putting out my most surprising reads. The books that surprised me most are in 2022, that I read in 2022, and ignoring the fact that this is late, I have 4 books to talk to you about. I like doing this category, so I'm reminded of why these books tend to be ones that I'm obviously not expecting to enjoy as much as I do, the opposite of the most disappointing ones. And that means they tend to be exposing me to stuff that I would like to read more of, whether it's authors or genres, subgenres, tropes, and themes. So, it's like a jumping off point to an extent for more reading in the future. So, that being said, let's talk about the first book, which is Escaping Exodus by Nicky Drayden. I read this for Blackathon. It was the sci-fi and fantasy group read, and this was very weird. It's a sci-fi book, but I really like this a lot. And I definitely want to read the follow-up book. So it's been a while. It's literally been a year, because this is coming out so late. In this, we're following this people in space who are living off this kind of space creature. Space whale is how I pictured it in my mind. And they don't exactly know that. It's a very, well, first of all, there's a black female author, black female main character. The people that we're following are black. They have like a matriarchal society. The main character that we follow most of the time, she is kind of heir to the throne in a way. Not the terms used in there, but this is what I'm going with since it's been so long. It's a very LGBT society. She's in love with another woman of a different class, her best friend, and her family is just like, no, you need to be with someone of a better class, particularly a male who can give you children. But there's a lot of weirdness because they are living in and off of this space whale. That's what I'm gonna call it, because that's how I pictured it in my head, as a whale. And I don't know where that iconography came from, like the idea of a space whale. Don't know. That's what I'm familiar with, and so that's what I'm going with. And yeah, just I don't know what the second book will bring me, but I like this a lot. There's a lot of drama. There's eating of very interesting things because there's no land to grow stuff. There's no other animals, just the space whale. So they're literally living off of. There is some racism that comes later. There's sexism, there's classism, definitely. But it's just Nicky Drayden's imagination. I loved it. Like I said, I don't know what the second book will bring, honestly, because I feel like this wrapped up pretty well, but I'm curious, so we'll check it out. Next, Breath of Dust and Dawn by Penelope. Now, 2022, I read the first book from this series, Ursinger Chronicles, and I didn't love it, but I liked it and enjoyed it enough that I wanted to continue. There are, I think, 4 or 5 novels, and then in between there are novellas. So it's just been a struggle getting my hands on the novellas. But I read the second novella, was interested. Then I read this, and I was like, oh, I'm here for this. I'm here for this. In this one, we're following a different couple. So this is fantasy romance. And I heard about this series through Pharaoh Fantasy Romance February. It's a group created by authors, and they promote each other. And I was looking for a black fantasy romance, and I came across this series. In this series, synopsis, I guess, for book 1, we're following 2 main characters from 2 different countries who are kind of at war with each other, but in a kind of lull in the war. Like, they're not actively fighting right now, but still separate and totally against each other. These 2 countries share a border, and there's also this magical border wall that keeps them separate from the most part. So we have one young lady who is an outcast who lives near the border wall, and because she has features that make her look like the people of the other country, the people of her country kind of don't associate with her. Her family, her parents have passed away, and she's just living her life as an outcast on the edge of the country, basically. One day, when she's coming back from the town from shopping or whatever, she comes across this man who is trying to escape. I guess he says he's escaped from the other country. He asks for her help, and she is like, she doesn't want to have anything to do with the situation, and she leaves him to go into the town. Unfortunately, he gets caught by some officers, the military men who were sent after him to capture him back and bring him back to the other country. They start heading back towards where they believe the magical barrier is to go back through, not realizing that they are in the other country. See, the magical barrier somehow let them through, and they don't realize they are now in another country. Anyway, a storm comes, so they wind up looking for shelter, and whose house do they find but the ladies? So eventually finding out that this guy is an escapee who was a spy for her country in the other country, and that's why they're trying to bring him back, because they found out. So anyway, sorry, that was a lot. The story goes from there. He was trying to figure out some stuff, some information, and bring him back. She winds up helping him. We find out that she has some abilities, and he's not who he says he is exactly. He is a spy, but he's more or less than that. So the story goes from there. And this one, though, we get a story of new characters and how things have been going in the other country. And oh boy, we got some new magic. There's a whole mysterious other third group of people, another race of people or something like that going on. It's like overlapping with the first book's time frame. So this was happening roughly at the same time the first book was happening, but in the other country. So I was listening to this audiobook, and I was like, at the end, I said, no, I need more. I wasn't like, I liked the first book and enjoyed the first novella, but this one, I was just like, oh, I love this. I need more. I need to know what happened. And then I haven't, because I can't get my hands on that next novella, and it's driving me crazy. I plan on reading that. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna have to buy it. A Kindle edition ebook, because yeah. But soon, soon the next novella, and then I can get to the next. Because my library has all of the novels, but not any of the other novellas, and that is criminal. Because the next book that surprised me was The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. So, wanting to read more diversely in gender and sexual identity. This was a group pick. I participate in so many readathons, it's ridiculous. It was for, I'll put it on the screen here if I remember while editing. But this, as I've had my eye on it, I've heard of it, but I just hadn't gotten around to it. So group pick for a readathon, that's, an easy gimme with participating in a readathon. They quite often fulfill multiple prompts. So I read this, and one, I was not expecting it to be as short as it was. I listened to the audiobook. This is a bit of a coming of age. We're following this black British boy. He's Caribbean, I believe Jamaican, half Jamaican and half Greek from each of his parents, but he's born and raised in England. He's telling this story. It's not a memoir per se, but it does draw from the author's lived experiences. So he's, telling him growing up and kind of figuring out who he is as a boy, as a man, as a gay man, and as a drag queen. And this was just beautiful. I liked the main character. And it's not that I don't like main characters. Quite honestly, characters are what really do it for me the most in any book. You gotta make me like them for the most part. Or if I don't like them, you gotta make me not like them. But I gotta feel strongly for the characters. And I just love this kid from the beginning. I don't know how to say it. I just didn't go into this expecting to love it so much. This was not one of my highest rated books, but it's most surprising because I wasn't I want to be friends with this guy. I want to know this guy. And that's essentially it. And like I said, I wasn't expecting it to be so short. It was very heartfelt and very, it wasn't sad, but he told somebody off at the end of the book, and I was listening as I was getting off the train at that point, and I'm walking down the stairs you go, boy, you go. That's right, you tell him. Ridiculous. So yeah, read this. The narrator, who I didn't write down, I'm sorry, on the screen here, they did a wonderful job. Last but not least, I have 20th Century Boys Volume 1 by Naoki Urasawa. I've since found out that a couple of other really popular seinen manga series are by this mangaka, and I am not surprised now. This is a book that I picked up. This manga I picked up because Elle from Elliot Brooks' EB Novels channel, her husband occasionally shows up on her channel, and he's a very nice man. Ella's a very nice woman. Anyway, so one of the videos a couple of years ago that he did was his favorite manga series that he recommends. So I made note of those. And at the end of last year, when I was doing my try a volume kind of self-challenge, I put 20th Century Boys on there as one of the ones that he had recommended. I've also started Vinland Saga, but I started that before last year. So That was also on his recommendation. And while I liked Vinland Saga, and I'm going to continue reading it, I loved 20th Century Boys to the point where I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna do, like, up until reading that, and that was, I think, the last manga I read in 2022. And it was the last book I read in 2022. But as far as the manga goes, that was the last manga. And up until that point, I was like, oh, I have to do this manga bracket because I don't know. Like, I like a lot of these. I'm not sure which one I should start with first. Then I read this and I was ready to throw them all away. Away. I was not expecting to love this. And it's hard to describe. It's like this kind of contemporary sci-fi-ish, but not really yet. There's a bit of a thriller aspect, but I love these boys, these men already. Like, the writing is just that good, and the art is perfect. So the thing is, right, the way he described it, Sean, didn't really pull me in. The cover arts that I've seen, I was like, oh, this is a little old-fashioned. I don't know. This might be too masculine. I don't know. My brain was doing stupid shit. It was saying, I was thinking stupid shit. Like, I know, I admit that. The synopsis is that in the 90s, no, or I should say probably in the 70s, there was this group of kids, these friends who created their little secret hideout and created this fantasy future life for themselves when they grew up or whatever, based on like comic books and things that they had seen or whatever. Fast forward to the future, the 90s. So yes, this is kind of old. I was born in 84, okay, so it's not that old. In the 90s, they're all adults living their regular ass lives, but slowly some kind of thing is happening in the world in the background. There's some evil growing in the world that has to do with their childhood fantasies. I think they're supposed to, I guess, somehow try to save the world. And we follow mainly one guy, but we're also following these police officers who are trying to figure out some crimes happening in the vicinity. But every once in a while, we're also getting glimpses into world issues and politics. It's just so well crafted. I love the theme of how they have these fantasies and ideas of what their adult lives are going to be, and then reality set in for the most part. It's just so realistic even for 2023. I am desperate to continue this. But as you'll see very soon, this did not win the manga bracket. Someday. But I wasn't expecting to love this. Like, I like the back and forth in time, the mystery and thriller aspects, the whole contemporary thing with the main, especially with the main guy and his just like his life. You know, he's just a corner store owner. Thriller aspects, to see the pieces slowly coming together. I'm just like, where is this gonna go? And who is the bad guy? Who is the bad guy? I need to know. So anyway, yes, those are my most surprising reads of 2022. What surprised you this year? I shouldn't be surprised by our Black people doing it up in my favorite genres. So there's that. But I'm happy to have found them and others. So, and then the manga experiment gave me some great gems. So we'll be continuing with that. Next, like this video, guys. If you liked it, subscribe. If you are new, hit the notification bell so you know when the next video is coming out. Next up is my favorite books of 2022. It was a struggle. Links in the description to everything I mentioned here. There's also links to my Storygraph and Goodreads and Twitter and Instagram if you would like to follow me on any of those. Also linked is a 10% off discount code to my Etsy shop where I make all natural bath and body products for magical and mundane purposes. So check that out for your Valentine's Day needs. Guys, if you've made it this far, leave me a ray gun alien thing. I know there is one in the comments down below to support. Share this video so the algorithm likes me. And guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.